Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Bite Down boxing video. My name is Wood. Please consider becoming a subscriber. Hit that like button if you like the way any information is being broken down, presented, review, preview, recap, analyze, so on and so forth. I'm gonna jump right into it. I did not get into doing episodes episode recaps for Yellowstone this year, but I did watch the season. Overall, I thought it was decent, but not the best season. One thing that comes to mind immediately is the bad guys on in the first two seasons. They're really about the equivalent of the bad or the villains in the superhero movies. They don't last long. They don't. They're really kind of the two brothers. What was that? The Beck brothers. Like they never even got off the stool to fight. And then the first season, I can't. Oh, was that Jenkins? Anyway, just nobody's really put up a real fight with them once John Dutton decides to act or react. And just my quick thoughts on the first 9 episodes. I'm getting ready to talk about the finale, The World is Purple. I just felt it was a lot of lovey dovey stuff. We had the romance bloom or blossom between Rip and Beth, which was kind of interesting. Does she like him? I mean, does she really? Because remember, she kind of said some cruel things to him and about his man parts. And they kind of had like he was just there and was like convenient. But now that we learned that she can't have children, is she just like, well, let me take him because he's around and he worships the ground I walk on and so on and so forth. But Jimmy and his girlfriend did their thing. We saw a reunion between the governor and John. They had a fortnight or a tent night in mourning. And then Casey and Monica, that's all they do is, screw. And so then we had like, I know we have police brutality and law enforcement, going on in the country right now. They spent the episode where Hendon he did too much and killed the two cowboys. And then of course, Jamie cleaned that up. So it kind of wasn't a statement. But then they had the statement of, had the big dramatic scene about the Star Spangled Banner, the national anthem at the beginning of that rodeo and whatnot, and they had the slow motion. And, Taylor Sheridan kind of spoke on his stance. I felt like is what I got out of that. And then we had Colby. We had some positive racial relations with Colby and Teeter. They're the flirting for a couple of episodes, and then they get jumped together, ambushed together, and then they have to work together to get home. And it's a moment where they embrace and I think share a kiss and whatnot. Okay. So then that, like I said, I just was watching it. The World is Purple. Another thing that I struggle with on the show, before I get into it, the money. I'm always big on if you're doing dirt, if it's drugs that are being sold or it's prostitution or pornography with HBO's The Deuce, whatever the hustle is of the show, it needs to. I like to see it. I like to see some details in it, and I just don't really see how they make money. I don't, and then the livestock pretty much disappeared for the last 5 or 6 episodes, I want to say, but they had this huge parcel of land. They don't have a whole fleet of vehicles, but they have a couple of vehicles. They're buying horses and whatever. But then they have no chance of. They say we only got about 2 or 3 more years before the jig is up anyway. Like we can't afford this place. So what are you going to do on it? So I don't know. I'm just struggling on. But he paid all of Jimmy's medical bills, which would have had to have been pretty significant based on hip replacement surgery and then everything else. We're talking about six figures. So how did he just pay that? Now maybe he could have pulled some strings, negotiated that down a little bit. I don't know. But let's jump into it. Just six or seven, maybe 10 things I'm getting ready to talk through as quickly as possible. The funny thing is, while Taylor Sheridan did the thing, I'm assuming it was his bit respecting the flag and the national anthem. He kind of endorses what Nick Cannon got in trouble with a couple of weeks ago, doesn't he? Because Angela Blue Thunder says quite a bit to Thomas Rainwater and what's my man's name? His driver and henchman Mo. Is that his name? But once they get out of the meeting, I mean, she's like on some for real, the white man, the same thing that Nick Cannon said. And she's pushing, Rainwater to let Mo do what he does. He's from a warrior clan or a warrior tribe or something. He's from a warrior lineage of warriors. Let him do his thing. So that kind of shapes up some beef for next year, as well as what I'll get into in the ending here. But she's really with the shits. And has like, for some reason, she's like this lawyer stuff and playing by the rules and being manipulative and using the rules that they've been giving is what Thomas Rainwater is trying to do. Angela's like, nah, they only respect one thing, and the American government only respects one thing. So that was just very interesting to me, very profound moment. Poor Lloyd. He was over the moon. He was been walking on heaven or sunshine the last few episodes with the little young girl. But now she says, I don't care if Walker has an ass or an asshole on his chest. That man is whatever she said. So Lloyd's sitting over there bitter that and then Walker not trying to win anybody over or form any alliances. He goes over, looks over at Lloyd and says, I didn't get no sleep last night. It might be a long day out there. Because he said, Walker is an interesting character. Good to see him back. That was one good thing from this season. John Dutton, he said, that was pretty cruel, man. They cut the brand off of, what was that dude's name? Wade? His old rivalry and former employee or whatever, or ranch hand. He went through all that, and then Rip is like, hey, I got what you wanted. And, nose itches. I got what you wanted, and Dutton says, I don't want it. I just didn't want him to have it. But man went through it. And again, that's a situation where there's a villain, but he really didn't have any bark. I mean, he didn't have any bite to his bark. He was tough for all of like 2 seconds. The one empty threat that he made to Rip. Monica, her character is completely washed. Like, she has no purpose other than laying around waiting to make love with Casey and have their little gooey moments. But she despises the ranch. She despises John Dutton. But you living off the man for free. You working at a school that you got based on his name. Which she didn't. Her character is she just sits around all doom. I mean, the sky is falling and she's washed. Rip and Beth dynamics. I like the one thing now that Rip has. They've gone through what they've gotten married. Beth went and got the approval from John, and now they're married. And Rip thought he couldn't even be a part of this thing, and now he's suddenly there, and now he stands up to her. He's like, I'm not telling you what I do or what I do, how much. I'm just not going into any details. And Beth is like, nah, you don't get to keep secrets anymore. And he's like, nah, you know what? I go along with all the stuff you want me to go along with, but what I do for the family and this ranch. You know, that's mine. I sit with all that because he's good with that. He's cold like that. Another dope thing was when they talked about the marriage of getting married a couple of weeks ago, episodes ago. He said, you know, I don't even exist to this government. Nobody knows who I am. I don't even exist. That's kind of an interesting life for Rip. So it's kind of dope that John did him this one solid in letting him have his wife. I mean, his letting him have the hand of his daughter for marriage. I thought so. So Jimmy, at the start of this episode, Jimmy is getting all this BS from his girlfriend. I couldn't even find her name on the cast on IMDb.com. But she's tripping about why would you get this stupid brand on you? And then she starts getting into his head about if you're not going to be a cowboy, you're not going to be my boyfriend because you're not happy anymore. And Lloyd had already told Jimmy that he gave up on his dream. So Jimmy goes out here and damn near commits suicide and is laying in the field for like 8 hours and nobody sees him and whatnot. So we don't know if he's gone, but he got thrown off the horse and was face down, you know, in the training area and whatnot. Jamie, at the end of the episode, he tells Rip, you know, I don't think you should contact me anymore. I don't think you should call me anymore. This is after we've seen a series of hits, basically. And that's one thing that Yellowstone, man, I mean, their violence is just as graphic and gruesome and grotesque and savage as, you know, as Power, as any other show that's out there. You know, Snowfall. Hey, they get it in out in Wyoming or wherever the hell they are, Montana. And this is all stems from the conversation that Jamie had going and sniffing around the place where his father rents, and Garrett Randall says, you know, you've killed, which we know he did last year with the reporter. But this is a rapid change of heart and change of character for Jamie. I know he hasn't been in his father in John Dutton's good graces, but the man still made you who you are, and renewed the relationship this year, and had the conversation when he found out he was adopted. He kept it, you know, he kept it a buck with him. And yeah, he was pissed off that he did what he did to his sister with the hysterectomy thing. But this, for the show to conclude the way that it did, was a bit over. I just don't know if Jamie is that type of guy. I was reading a piece on TVGuide.com or something saying that Rourke and Jamie might be working together. But, you know, if Jamie is involved in this, then he has to get put in the ground next year, right? I mean, Rip would not let this go. But that's just a truly. He tried to do his thing in the courtroom, you know, because his father tells him take the king. It's the same way that you take down any empire. You get rid of the king. And then he just puts that battery in his back and he goes off to go do this. And so he tried to do it legally. He gets that power of attorney where Beth made a mistake in filing for it in Utah when she was there before she came home. And now Jamie, you know, he tried to sell the property, but then Rainwater came to the rescue, him and Angela Blue Thunder. But it just went from 0 to 100 a little bit too much with me on Jamie. Rourke was basically, I mean, he's fly fishing and whatnot, and a couple of confrontations with Beth where he took some L's. And then, again, at the end of it, because we were wondering how this was going to get resolved in the finale. There wasn't enough time based on how powerful this investment firm is and whatnot. A major salute to Willa Hayes, played by Karen Pittman. By the way, Jamie's dad is Matt Not Matt Dillon. Damn. Will Patton. I'm sorry. Will Patton. Um, those guys, Costner and Patton, were in No Way Out. One of the first movies I remember watching as a kid, as young, probably preteens or something. But anyway, Willa Hayes, played by Karen Pittman, she's really kind of developing a real recurring role for her in being like this power. I don't want to call her a bitch because she's a black woman. Why you call her? But she's like this really boss bitch character that she's nailing right now, and does an exceptional job of it here, trading blows with Beth, who's a powerhouse in her own right. But then she also got in Carrie Matheson's ass in the finale or the final season of Homeland. She was the FBI interrogator, and traded some blows with Carrie Matheson, who was a very strong character. So, but then Beth got her in the end. That whole exchange about the sting never goes away from me from Beth. And then Beth did something to have this sexual harassment issue out there when Willa had to excuse herself from the purchase meeting because she had to go do some damage control. Another grotesque moment, interesting moment is in how comfortable Rip is with death. He's always in black for one, but even more gruesome here, he goes to his mom's to have his mom exhumed so he can take the ring off of her hand to give it to his new wife, and he has a conversation and with his mother, and this woman Beth means the world to him. Okay, that's still such an interesting couple, but because he's so simple. He still had the flip phone, but he knows nothing. All he does is take orders from John and pleases John, and runs, the bunkhouse. And then to close, the hits. Like I said, this season hadn't done a whole lot. We had the one shootout with Casey, which made him a local hero. So much of a local hero that some very important people come to see him to tell him we need to get you going right now, because in 2 years, when the current governor is up, her term is up, you're our guy. And he kind of comes around to it, like, I've done well in this role, didn't think I was gonna like it, and then if these guys are behind me, then I must be able to do it. But then these hits just come out of nowhere. We have the explosion, the package at Beth's. That building has been through hell the last 2 seasons. I would expect Beth survives that, although she probably starts next season busted up again, like she did here. Casey, some gunmen run into his office. He flips over his desk. Casey probably gets himself out of that situation. It's a hell of a cliffhanger, though. But then John, I knew something was getting ready to pop off with John, but I thought he might be sniped from distance, or this woman was going to do something. And I was like, but damn, y'all got a kid there and everything. So I didn't know what was going to happen. But, this van pulls up, and they unleash the chopper on, they hit John with the chopper, which is like, damn. And then they go and spray the lady up, I guess not to leave any witnesses. And so then you're like, well, damn, what's behind this? And then that's when Rip had to go down and put the horse out of his misery, looks up, and we see the birds, the scavenger birds or whatever. Scavenger birds. I'll stick with that. And then John comes back in the cell phone, stop the bullet. I don't know if no cell phone is stopping no assault rifle, but anyway. And then we have the conclusion with Rip calling Jamie, and it looks like Jamie has truly set it off with the family, which, like I said, would almost certainly guarantee that he is either on a run or he no longer exists after next year, him and his father. So that's about it, man. Let me know what you think. I didn't mean to go this long, but I didn't do the weeklies. Peace.